stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
After a successful start to the GT3 series last week, we come now to the very first race, the season opener for the Svenska eRacingligan here at Daytona in the Cup cars. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me are my broadcast partners, Tony Trapasso and Jason Sawford. Guys, it is going to be a very fun race, and we're going to do this this opening a little bit quick because qualifying is underway right now.
I see this, and it's good to be back at Daytona. It's good to see what these guys are going to be able to do here. We are familiar with a couple of these drivers, a good handful of them, being as many of them do run in the one of the Sunday series that we do have here on the Sim Racing Media family of broadcasts.
As we are getting set again for the season opener, Hårlinjen I Timrå 500. For the opener for Season 5. Again, qualifying is underway as we speak, as there is Dennis Schrepp on track right now in the number 48. Third place, at least on this first lap. Alexander Wergent, there he is in the number 30, just put down the fastest time.
Times are coming in hot and heavy right now. Is the way that this is set up currently, we're looking at wow, It's roughly 6 p.m. in sim time, and the sun is continuing to set, but it's a relatively cool day here in Daytona. Track temperatures relatively safe, high water grain in the air, and negligible winds. So, normally we see a lot of waiting and jockeying for the sun to set and try to cool the track off. The track's not going to get any cooler than it is right now. So everybody's just laying down times as quickly as they can. And I can't really say that I'm surprised that Alexander Weigert and now Linus Broström are going to be starting next to each other on the front row, as I'm sure Jason can attest to when he gets back from the little announcer's room. That
I'm here.
Okay, so Jason, you can back me up on this one. Not a big shocker that Weigert, Broström, and Skoglund are up at the top of this piece.
Yeah, absolutely. We see those three on Sundays in another series we broadcast as well, and there are a few more names that we have seen in the past down there as well. And interesting thing about this qualifying, actually, is that currently we've got a setup that 20 of these will go straight to the main race, and then we're going to be having a heat race of everyone else because of the amount of pit stalls here. Only
Correct.
40 pit boxes, so the league admins have decided we're going to have 40 people racing, but there's 50 people who want to. So 30-car heat race to come after this qualifying session, and then the top 20 of those are going to form up in the main race as well.
As of right now, Jonas Gunnarsson has the bubble position at 20th. So a couple cars out on track still. Only waiting for
Christopher Crook is the only driver that has not yet attempted a qualifying time. We're watching Peter Helmbro right now. He has completed both of his times. He will start 27th, which would mean 7th for the heat race, which is going to be coming up in a matter of about 5 seconds.
rapid fire qualifying like we see in the Super Late Model AI series on Saturday nights. Speaking of which, Frank, I know you and I are both excited that we get to spend the weekend still here in Florida. We're just going to go from Daytona to Pensacola for the season finale of that series on Saturday.
Yep, absolutely. But right now we will get to the starting grid here for the heat race tonight. Andre Solander will start on pole after qualifying 21st for the opening round of the season. Anton Bratberg will make up row number 1. Johan Larsson and Daniel Solo in row number 2. Marcus Stidler and Robert Erling in row number 3. Row 4 goes to Peter Helmbro and Christian Gantz. Jesper Eriksson and Patrick Pfeffer will make up row number 5. Eric Lundberg and Henrik Lindhoff will start in row number 6, with row 7 going to Bat Erden Ganbat. I believe that would be, hopefully that's close. Michael Haflidason will continue in row number 7, with row 8 going to Johan Halberg and Kim Nyholm. Jason.
And you've thrown to me at the perfect time, I see, for Marcus Stromberg and Krista Scherenbeck. Scherenbeck, sorry.
Honestly, didn't even realize that. Okay.
Throw Jason under the bus. So, that's how we're going to do this today.
Hopefully I got your name correct. And 19th and 20th, we've got Daniel Blomqvist and Rickard Allars. 21st and 22nd, we have Björn Broström and Andreas Håkansson, with row 12, I think, it would being Martin Godolakis and Robert Lundgren. Then we've got Christopher Geros, Jonas Fors, Haflidi Seymour Johansson, Simon Green, Gustav Jonsson, and Christopher Crook, who I believe is not taking the green here, is he not formed up.
So that will be the starting lineup here for what would be this 10-lap heat race here at Daytona, as there is Andre Solander in the series-sponsored, or race-sponsored car, I should say, in that 140. For
have we determined the right way to say that?
Hårlinjen.
Hårlinjen I Timrå.
There you go. Temperature for this heat race. Just past 6:15 p.m. On the date of February 20th. 8-kilometer winds, 18 degrees Celsius will be the ambient temperature, 19-degree track temperature, which would be, now Tony and I are
65 and 67.
I was just going to say it's about mid-60s.
And it's a 5-mile-an-hour wind out of the north.
You're using my units now.
Which means it means it's going to be a crosswind coming out of turn 2, so that could wreak a little bit of havoc. Turn 2 and turn 4 are going to be a little sketchy as you come off the banking, so something to be mindful of.
So getting set here for what will be a very, very quick and very, very hectic 10-lap heat race here tonight. We'll get you more of the event stuff coming up. There is a 5-minute warm-up session after this race, so we'll start to really integrate. We thought we had a little bit more time in practice as we get set to go green here for the heat race. Green flag is in the air. 29 cars on track looking for the final 20 spots in tonight's race.
We are sending 9 home as they go side by side into turn number 1. A little bit of weaving going on, trying to get these cars up to speed, up to full song, as Anton Bratsberg are going to wrestle the lead away from pole sitter Andre Selander. Down the back straightaway they come into the super stretch.
Pretty good start for Bratsberg here as he puts himself up into the lead, and looks like that second lane not doing too well here at the start.
That second lane has not gotten itself together just yet, as everyone trying to work their way down to the bottom. The beginning of lap number 2 of 10 here at Daytona. Still a lot of bobbing and weaving for these guys all over the place. Jason, these cars do look very unsettled at the moment.
They do indeed. I'm not sure whether that's just for the first running of the day and whether it's some of these guys' sort of first pack racing experience today necessarily, but well, I'm sure we'll see it get a bit less snaky through the broadcast.
Well, I would expect guys like Daniel Solo and Bjorn Broström to get this sorted out pretty quick, being as they run multiple oval series throughout the week. So, those are the 2 guys that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, because they should have one of the better chances to transfer into the A feature.
SDK Overlay, unfortunately, not playing nice with the heat racing system, as it usually does not. As Anton Bratsberg currently out on track, as we are halfway through lap number 3 out of 10. Outside line still not quite there yet. And remember, Tony, when these cars came out, the outside line, especially with the draft package that came out at the start of the season, the top line was where you wanted to be. You had the best runs on the outside line. It seems as the season's gone on, as we've gotten more data from the aero package, that has started to drop down back again to the inside line.
Well, the biggest complaint that the drivers had during the real-world Daytona 500 was that on the bottom line, the car seemed to be a little bit bound up. Oh, boy.
As that's around in the back, it looks as though
Bjorn Broström
in the 41, there he is. Robert Lundgren also in the 20 was around backwards. Ooh. And we'll take a look and see what happened.
That actually started with Lundgren.
It did, yeah.
See what happened there. It's the 20 of Lundgren in the middle. Oh, 52 getting a piece of it as well.
It actually started way back in the tri-oval. The 76 of... I'm not even going to try it. Galakis?
Let me find it. Godolakis.
We'll go with that.
Yeah,
there's the big wiggle there.
Yeah, he got a little bit out of line. We had to go down below the yellow, and did not advance his position, so he's allowed to come back up on track. But that kind of stacked up everybody behind him. They were 3 wide going into 1. And the 52 catching a big piece of it.
So on board with Bjorn Borgstrom and Bronstrom, pardon me, and
that's Brostrom.
Just about made it clear, but it was the 20 of Robert Lundgren coming back down the racetrack that flipped him up into the outside wall.
Oh, yeah. I think maybe the 20 got a little bit spooked by being the meat in the Daytona sandwich, but
as you do, because we've talked about it time and time again, Jason. The worst thing you can hear your spotter say to you at Daytona is 3 wide, you're the meat, because you're basically along for the ride at that point.
Yeah.
So we are starting the halfway lap here. Worth noting again, weren't expecting to have the practice closed off by 5 extra minutes. Otherwise, we'd have done this all then. One of the big keys to remember here for this race is that the yellow line rule is in effect here tonight, so you cannot advance your position under the yellow line at any point during the race until you come off of turn 4 on the final lap, and then the yellow line rule is null and void. So at any point from the exit of turn 4 to the start-finish line, you can pass anywhere you want, but up until that point, the yellow line rule will be respected all throughout the night.
It has to be, and that's for both driver safety and to lead to good racing, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody try to take it 4 wide going into like turn 3 down the backstretch at 190 plus miles an hour. That's just begging for problems. And but I do expect on the last lap coming to the checkers, we're most likely going to see at least one Waffle House situation tonight where the cars are just scattered, smothered, and covered on the entire width of this racing surface.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think you are correct. We don't tend to like to see it, but it just happens. And looking at the time left, guys, I think we'll be going to time here because 8 minutes was allocated, and 10 laps.
Yeah,
so
they've
I
got a
think
minute and a half left.
Time. Probably going to be a 1-lap shootout here from the end of this caution.
And
I assume we're going green next time by. Yeah, we are.
Again, SDK, at least for the NASCAR timing and scoring, does not play nice with the heat system here in iRacing. So unfortunately, that is not currently operational. But right now, going back, right now, the man you'll want to watch here is the 487 of Daniel Bloomquist. He is in the final transfer spot. Everyone behind him right now will not be making it into the race. So Christopher Crook, we know Bjorn Brostrom, Robert Lundgren, and Hidalfi Johansson, Haflidi Johansson, pardon me, are out of this race and will be done for the night. As Antoine Bratberg getting set to bring us back down, and you would have to think, Jason, that unless you're towards the back, you just got to think you don't have to win this race. You just have to finish ahead of 20th.
Yeah, I mean, for the guys up front, no point fighting, really. They like what are you fighting for? Being one car further ahead in qualifying for grid for the next race? Not really worth it, but the real fight is going to be around that 20th position, and on my iRacing, the times hit 0, so I don't know whether that's true or not. I know that timer can be a bit finicky.
It should give us a 1-lap shootout here.
It should. As we are getting set to go back to green flag racing. There we go. Brattenberg gets a good start. Guys pushing and shoving towards the back.
And another thing to note, tonight, Frank, the Geico restart zone is in effect and will be enforced.
There you go. We're looking back right now. 36 inside line. He is the final transfer spot. Towards the front, Brattenberg sent to the outside line. It's the 13 of Salo pushing him. Larson pushing Solander.
Big shunt behind with the 36 and the 336.
Those were two guys that were battling for the transfer spot as well. Now they're both out of it. Marcus Stromberg right now in the 64 has it. And that will do it. Andre Solander, I believe, unless, am I wrong?
No, that's
You
who
are correct.
won.
So
That's
there
who
you
won the
go.
heat.
So Andre Solander winning the heat race. And Marcus Stromberg in the 64 is the final transfer driver. As we'll take a look and try to see what happened there towards the... Never mind. As the session switches over before we can get that looked at. We'll take a look then at the results, maybe, possibly, if...
Well, this 5-minute warm-up will be skipped, as it's an iRacing thing. You have to assign it, so we will actually be going directly to the race. So, sounds like grid time to me.
Yep, it does. So, all right, so here we are. Hopefully, SDK can start to play nice with us here now, and unfortunately, it still isn't. So, guys, you're going to have to take the grid, unfortunately.
Well, drivers that were eliminated: Jonas Fors, Martin Godalakis, Simon Green, Bjorn Brostrom, Christopher Giros, Robert Lundgren, Richard Allard, Gustav Jansson, Hendelfi Jansson, and Christopher Crook all being eliminated. And Jason, why don't you take us through the first half of the starting grid?
Yeah, I will. I'll start rattling it off. Row 1 is going to be Alex Weggett and Linus Brostrom, two names that are very familiar to the SRM channel. Then Jonas Skoglund and Philip Carlin in row 2. Stefan Wong and Hugo Robb in row 3. Robert Eriksson and Kenneth Tier, row 4. Dennis Sherp and Sam Hammerstedt in row 5. Tony Ubernen and Oscar Fredriksson, row 6. Daniel Homer and Anton Ehrman in row 7. Pontus Nilsson and Alex Aroldsson in row 8. Vilde Wallen and Emily Fagrell in row 9. And Håkan Hurt and Jonas Gunnarsson rounds out the top 20 and those who automatically qualified.
So Andre Salander, after winning the heat race, going to roll off in row number 11. He's going to be joined with Johan Larson. Anton Bratberg and Dan Solo going to roll it off in row number 12. Row 13 goes to Marcus Stiller and Robert Ehrling. Peter Helmbro and Christian Gantz going to start in row number 14, with row 15 going to Jasper Eriksson and Patrick Pfeiffer. Heinrich Lindhoff and Eric Lundberg going to roll off in row number... Where am I? Row number 16. Row 17 goes to Mikkel Haldofsson and Kim Nyholm. Brett Andre Gernbat rolling off in row number 17. Row 18 going to Christopher Skronbach and Andre Hackinson. I hope I'm saying that right. Hawkinson. That is row number 19. Row 20 sees Daniel Bloomquist and Marcus Stromberg. Stromberg getting the final transfer spot out of the heat race.
And of course, right at the death there, the SDK starts working again.
Well, 125 laps of scheduled distance here tonight. 85% fuel fill, which means we're looking at a pit window right around 30 or so laps, 30 to 35. 5 total sets of tires to get them through the event tonight, which, as we've seen time and time again, tire wear not really a big thing on the plate tracks.
No, it has not been. And there will be a stage break after the completion of lap 50. And if the caution comes out prior to lap 47, there will be a restart before the stage. If it comes out on or after lap 47, then the stage will be complete. Weather conditions have changed ever so slightly as we get a little bit later in the night. Air and track temperatures have both gone up by 2 degrees Celsius as we come off of turn 4. Tony, take it away.
Time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn because it's time to get it on at the World Center of Racing. Race fans, it's show time! Linus Brostrom and Alexander Weigert door to door as they haul it off into turn number 1. Carolyn and Skoglund right there as well, 2 wide, about 20 deep still. As we haul it down the super stretch for the first time. Brostrom with the nose out front. No real drafting help yet. Everybody playing nicely so far.
Side by side all the way up through the front here as it's Weigert and Brostrom leading their respective lanes. A little bit of wiggling there in the back as I believe that was the 112 jumping down to the inside line there right at the very end of the lap as Alexander Weigert will lead the first lap in that Logitech number 30. Hugo Robb playing a very dangerous game of cat and mouse with that outside wall, though second car on the outside lane.
The second car on the outside lane is right now that outside lane needs to get a little bit more organized, and most of the time these guys are not going to be comfortable pushing, especially the guys that are newer to the oval side of things. Not quite as comfortable, but if you get a couple of these guys that know how to work together in a pack racing situation, you know, the guys that are familiar with each other, are familiar with bump drafting and so on, expect them to figure this out sooner or later, as the Kenneth Tier now trying to form up with Linus Brostrom as they come out of turn number 2 one more time.
A nice little formation on the low side of 3 cars that are most definitely on the same team. I cannot quite tell which team. I think that's Team Superior.
Yes.
As very distinctive liveries, as we found out last week in the GT3 series as well. But they're definitely going to be obviously looking to work together with each other as well. And that top lane now starting to form up a bit more.
The top lane starting to build that momentum. 6 cars very, very close to each other. Linus Brostrom at the front of it. That's Fagrel in the number 4 at the back of that line. Phil de Wallen starting to get his way close and will get up to the back. But that's the 19 of Pontus Nilsson on the outside as well. Is that outside line now starting to pay those dividends, Tony, that we had talked about during the sprint race?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, getting back to what we were talking about there before all hell broke loose. In the real world, they noticed that the outside lane doesn't seem to bind the car up as much. It'll bog the car if you're trying to stay on that yellow line all the way around here. So if you run about where Brostrom is, maybe about a half a car width lower or so, you know, you can really get a good momentum run out of the corners, down the straightaways. You know, you see it right there. Brostrom and Tier just starting to pull away as they're working the draft properly and they're not binding the car up.
And on board with Kenneth Tier right now, 300K going into turn number 3. And a great look at the underside of that number 71 of Linus Brostrom with the diffuser, something that I'm sure our European watchers are very used to. Diffusers on the back of their cars. Again, something new to the Cup Series for this season is the inside line now, once again with Weigert leading the way.
Yeah, they've really changed this car since the last generation of Cup cars. Independent rear suspension new on this car. Diffusers with smaller rear spoilers new on this car. So, oy. And the thing we're seeing here is, being as not a lot of these guys have a ton of oval experience, we're not seeing the pinching down in the corners from the outer lane like we sometimes do see, in some of the more cowboy type series where, nobody's going to think twice about trying to pinch the inside lane down or side draft, as we call it, to try to, stop a run just by taking the air off the side of the car. So, this is interesting to see how these guys are starting to get this figured out.
And Jason, Jason, I'm noticing we have 4 manufacturers in the field tonight. There are only 3. Oh boy, that was very close up front.
There's a caution.
There they go. That's the 49. We were just on board with them. Everything happening right in front here yep.
That's. I think the only way of describing that is many cars involved.
Yes, exactly.
And when I referred to a Waffle House situation earlier, that's what I was referring to, folks, where the cars are just scattered.
My connection just put up a little bit of a fit there. Again, this is the French and German server that we're on. Hosted by somebody who is currently in California, about as far away from that server as you could possibly get. But right now we'll take a look at the at that replay of what happened, and we saw it there right at the very front, and it just seemed like somebody got loose and started to punch their way through, and then all of a sudden, Jason, everyone was just side by side and not having a good time of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a good look at it. I believe it started
with the 74.
74?
74.
Yeah, 74 tried to make it 3 wide coming off the corner, it appeared. And
49 goes down to throw the block and unfortunately got turned.
Just everything from there. Here moves up, and the 74 tries to take the run and just that's a lot of cars very early on in this race.
We always talk about it here at the plate tracks, Daytona and Talladega, that the big one can happen at any time, and that's one of the downfalls of being pack racing is if something pops off, you've got 0 time to react with everybody right on top of each other.
Yeah, very true, and not something that we're so used to over here in Europe. But I'm sure. Well, these guys are running the Oval Series, so I'm sure they've got a decent amount of experience with it. So we've known to expect it, and it's happened. And as a driver, you've just got to sort of hope and then move through with it.
Kenneth Tier, Anton Ehrman, Peter Helmbro, Ganbat, Hammerstedt, Nilsson, and the 101 of Huet on pit road trying to repair crash damage, as well as a lot of other guys. That was about half the field, just shy of half the field that was involved in that. Again, on lap 10, that's a very big one here when you still have 115 to go, Jason.
Yeah, very much very much the big one, as I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people we see still 29th and down, either in the pits or having decided to retire the car, in the case of Anton Oman, at least. These guys, I think, are going to just be trying to fix damage whenever they possibly can. Already seeing people trying to get some pit cycles out, and some that are not so lucky to be able to do that. Maybe a bit more than 2 minutes of required repairs rather, and they're still having to stay in, going a lap down, and we're one to green.
There were 13 cars involved in that one, so there's going to be a lot of unhappy people. The good news is the free pass is in effect tonight, so if we do get another caution, the first car 1 or more laps down will be receiving a free pass to get one of their laps back.
Getting to the point, Jason, I was making before, we have 4 manufacturers on track here tonight. The standard Chevy, Ford, and Toyota, but it would also appear, especially in the case of the 33 of Jonas Gunnarsson, Volvo has joined the series as well, on the Ford body and making a debut. So very nice to see Volvo in its first NASCAR races.
We noticed that on Sunday too.
Yeah.
A couple of the drivers had those on there. I'm like, wait a second, is that a Volvo? Yeah.
So getting set to go.
E70 stock car, please.
Could be a 5th soon if the rumors are true about Dodge rejoining NASCAR.
Oh,
Within the next couple of years. But Tony, Jason, actually, why don't you bring us down to green here?
yeah, why not? I'm definitely here for Dodge, by the way. That's that's something that can be looked forward to if true, as the pace truck makes the hard left onto pit road, and we are green once again. Alex Weggett taking that quite nicely in the Geico restart zone, quickly picking up Jonas Skoglund and running away.
Like that little 4-car tandem going on up at the front of this piece, and from 4th on back, you've got those teammates up there on the high line, and this is what team racing is for. You get 3 of you hooked up like that, and you try to make a charge towards the front. The only thing is, they're not being as aggressive on the bump draft as they possibly could be.
Robert Erickson, all of those guys with the superior teams. Now, there are different delineations of that team. The 35 up at the front of the line is for Superior Stray Dogs. The 22, who we're on board with right now, with Superior Underdogs. And I believe that's, nope, that wasn't the right one. 48, that's who I was looking for. Dennis Schrepp, he is for Superior Top Dogs. So they're all team superior, just under different team delineations.
Well, when you get a chance, ask me about my up dog.
There it is. I wasn't walking into that. I knew what you were doing. As Gunnarsson now leading that outside lane, the 3 superior cars still behind him, but I think, as you would expect, Jason, we've settled down after the first big wreck a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was pretty calm to start with anyway, and then unfortunately, as soon as one person tries to make it 3 wide, it goes wrong. But you can run 3 wide. It's just not recommended for your health and well-being, especially before 10 to go. But now sitting nice and calm, and some cars probably just trying to ride out the next 100 or so laps, then start fighting.
We've got a 17-car pack up at the front. Christian Gantz in the number 38 right now, running in the 18th, 19th position as the number 70 of Schoenbeck jumps in front. So he is now the head of that second group, hanging off just about a second or so behind, now falling a little bit further behind, about 2 seconds now, as they continue to swap positions in the pack. But we were seeing this, Tony, in the first little green flag run. There was a good 20-car pack up at the front, and then everyone else was about a second or so back, doing the same thing again here with this group.
And you get that on restrictor plate tracks like Daytona and Talladega. You know, you get a group that, you know, they're going to be effective running with each other, and then there's a group that, you know, one car might not be as fast. And I'm not sure if this is a fixed setup league or not.
I believe you can change setups.
Okay. Well, if that's the case,
I would assume so.
Somebody might have a different setup that's not quite up to par, and they're not able to lead the pack, but they can do pretty well as a pusher. And, you know, that's something we're going to need to see. If anybody's really going to have a shot at this one tonight, we're going to need to see some bump drafting starting to take place, you know, and actual bumper-to-bumper contact to push someone up towards the front.
No, setup is fixed.
Well, then the bump draft is going to be even more necessary, because that's really the only way you're going to make a pass tonight.
That Superior team has not given up the fight on the outside line. They've dragged Kim Nyholm into the battle on the outside line. That 58 of Nyholm was the fastest in practice here prior to the qualifying session, as the 71 of Linus Brostrom taking a peek to the outside line, running at the very back of this line. And Jason, it takes a lot of patience to be able to run, not just in the middle, but especially towards the back of these lines. You get such good runs, but you know that going to the outside by yourself and trying to take one of those runs could be a little bit more disastrous than letting off and just staying at the back of the line.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with you. It takes a lot of patience, and as someone who tends to run towards the back of oval races myself, I can confirm this, especially here. I mean, it would be so tempting for the likes of Linus Brostrom, Oscar Fredriksson to see the run that they've got, try and step out of the line, and then you go, oh wait, I've got no one ahead of me. And suddenly you find yourself just drifting back left again.
Jonas Gunnarsson leaving a little bit of a gap in that 33 up to Patrick Pfeffer in the 200 there. Now starting to close the gap back up, but definitely, Tony, everything is really calmed down as Vilda Whalen now leading that second group, as they have gotten single filed out and have stopped the fall at about 3 seconds adrift of that first group.
Well, I mean, you've got a pretty strong line out there with Valen, Salander, and Oven, and they've stopped the hemorrhaging. They're still bleeding a little bit of time, though.
Not much, though, not compared to what they were losing before, as they were still trying to siphon through and see who was going to be ahead of that group.
So now they are starting to chip back into that lead group, as it was 3 seconds, now down to just over 2.5. So, you know, they're getting it figured out. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, as the season wears on, what we're going to see the next time we come to a plate track.
Of the drivers that were in that first wreck, Wet, Nilsson, Hammerstedt, Ganbad, Ehrman, and Arildsson are still on pit road trying to get their cars fixed. Helmbro, Stiller, and Tier are back out on the racetrack. A lot of guys still damaged. There's Robert Erling in the 82. Herkinson in the 187. Fagrel in the 4. And Kenneth Tier. Tier is a lap down. He is the only driver 1 lap down. So if he can keep that car under him and somebody else cannot, he will be the free pass recipient here. Is still up at the front. It is that 30 of Weigert still leading this race, and those 4 cars on the outside line not making life easy on the inside line. Is Superior still trying to find a way up at the front, and they're, every single time we look back at them, Jason, they've picked up another car length, another car length, another car length.
Yep, they have indeed, and I think they're up there trying to prove their team name. If you if you call your team Team Superior, then you've got to. I guess you've got something to prove, and they're proving themselves to be very much so competent here, as running that top lane with 1 other car when you've got everyone else on the inside is sort of no mean feat, and they're managing to keep them in check quite well. And I do still feel sorry for those who are still down pit road, because that must be engine or suspension or something at this point. I think some of them have given up by now.
Hammerstedt is the only one that's put it on the hauler so far.
Yep, Hammerstedt done. There's Ehrman, who has repaired the damage to his number 42 Superior car. Is getting close again as they were 3 wide trying to get around the lap car. The 58 and the 200 almost coming together as Nyholm now jumps down to the bottom. And it's looking like the 42 of Ehrman is able to stay with this group, at least for the moment, as the 71 of Broström appears to be picking him up, or at least trying to get a little bit of draft off of him. But that could be a big help for those 3 cars on the outside line, to have yet another driver up there with him, a part of Top Dogs.
Well, one of the things we've noticed, the more we've done super speedway racing,
or not,
especially with the NextGen car, is that 3 cars, if they're working well together, like within the bubble of each other, as far as the aero package goes, 3 cars will be faster than 2 or 4 or the pack.
The reason for that being that there's a lot of lifting off in the pack. However, you don't have to let off nearly as much, and it's not nearly as big a chain reaction to have just a couple of cars let off as compared to 15 like there would be on the inside line.
Yeah, this is where I find it insane how when you watch the real race and you just see every single one of them running bumper to bumper, right? You try that on iRacing, you're dead within a second. Like, it is insane how close they run, honestly. And these guys are still doing a great job at it.
Everyone who was repairing damage, except for Hwet and Hammerstedt, have come back out onto the racetrack. Hwet is still fixing damage. Hammerstedt, as Tony had mentioned before, no longer on track, as Marcus Stiller in the 013, another member of the Superior team, gets passed up, gets his teammate to door him a little bit there in the 22.
I think that was a little bit closer than it needed to be.
Team rule number 1, try not to kill each other. Team rule number 2, if you are going to kill each other, make sure it's a Sports Center highlight for the next year. That outside lane they're starting to get it. They're starting to side grab.
85!
No.
There's the 85. Hard into the fence. 73 backwards, 21. Here comes that second group into the mix. As you could, I mean, it does come out of nowhere, and you could also sense it coming. Because everyone looked as though they were getting it righted, but once they got side by side, or a little bit more than side by side, everything was going haywire. As we'll take a look and see what happened. Well, the 21 of Rob has caught that 85 in a bad spot.
He did at that. And then it was a bump draft gone wrong.
Let's get back on it here. It's Hugo Robb behind Stefan wearing in the 85. There was the hit. And there's the 200 ping working. Ooh, that was the 38 of Christian Gantz that had a big, nearly had a big moment.
Yeah, that was a Cole Trickle moment right there.
Riding on board with Gantz. Again, he's in the second group, so this wreck has already happened well in front of him. And he almost hits one, then almost gets the other two, and somehow just able to get through it.
Working caution number 2 here tonight at Daytona, and not a big surprise, wholesale pit stops.
Yeah, my ping is not liking the cautions.
That makes 2 of us.
Must be said.
I think we're all having the same issues then, because that is affecting me as well. Don't worry, it's CPU related.
Philip Carlin in the 22 came down pit road, did not stop, and got back on the racetrack in turn 1. Now, and it appears as though those are guys catching up.
Nylom did the same thing.
You know, Nylom was fine, but I find that intriguing, and that should be an unsafe pit and an unsafe rejoin penalty triggered by iRacing, unless that was the idea that he wanted to go to the back. That's not sure why he would have done that willingly.
Well, they're sending him to the back.
As you would, yeah.
Maybe there was a drive-through to serve for something.
Yeah, but
even still, he got back on the racetrack in turn 1. Now you have to respect the blue cone all the way around.
Oh,
yeah, so Kevin LePage the field.
Yeah, he would have had to enter the racetrack on the backstretch, as now they're both coming back in again. Niall also did not stop in the box. So it once again will be Alexander Wegert up at the front in the number 30. And while this is going on, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching the opening round of the oval season, the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500, here from Daytona, under caution for the second time to never actually. We'll pass on the break. Didn't realize they were one to go.
Well, you do now.
iRacing is kind of shortened that on the super speedways. It's as soon as the pace truck or car picks the field up, it's 2 laps, and then
still no excuse for me not noticing. But anyway,
I digress.
Now, one thing that I didn't realize prior to bring up during these cautions, looking at the amount of cars that may be damaged now, there is actually a minimum speed set for today. So the minimum speed that your car needs to be doing in clean air is 168 miles an hour or 270 kilometers an hour. So by the looks of things, if your car can't do that, come in and fix it some more. If you can't, bye.
So as the green flag getting set to come back out, the number 30 of Wegert's still out in front. He has decided that that is the safest place by far here tonight. Does the same thing. Jumps up to collect Jonas Skoglund, in second, and we're off and running again.
As Linus Broström making his climb back up through the field, just getting by Jonas Gunderson, as Gunderson drops down in front of Bloomquist.
Oh, in the wall, hard in the back.
Yeah, that was a hard shot.
That was Schoenbeck in the 70.
And he's missing suspension.
Yep.
Ouch.
There it is. See that Goodyear Eagle bouncing. Suspension broken on that number 70. We'll take a look and see what had happened there down the backstretch to put the 70 in that state. Starts out okay, it appears. It's an odd shift that he had there. It's the 4 of Fagro behind him. 45 gets a very good run. Oh, they tried to go down to the bottom and got a little bit too close to the side of the 45 of Ganbat. Sent him up into the wall.
As we've got a 22-car freight train going on right now at the front of this with about a second separation between 22nd and 23rd. I'm kind of surprised that these guys got single filed out as quickly as they did.
It's the 57 of Larson that was bailing out to the back of the group there that we saw below the yellow line on the inside line. Hugo Robb in the 21 after being one of the triggers to that last caution on the in the second group right now. Only 3 of the 4 cars pictured on screen right now are on the lead lap. The 45 is not. Appears to be holding pace though, so that'll be very helpful. If enough cautions come out, he can get himself back on the lead lap. That 45 currently running in the 37th position. As Jason, we're getting closer and closer here to the end of this first stage.
Yep, we are. So I expect to see it getting a little bit spicy come around 7 laps time. 10 to go is normally when you'd want to at least start trying to make your moves and trying to spot your teammates. For the Team Superior cars are very easy to see who's teammates. I'm not entirely sure on some of the other ones. I believe the what is it, Forza Esports cars are fairly similar as well, or
yeah, the Forza cars are. There's the 13 of Daniel Solo on track right now, a part of the Alcantech team. A lot of those cars are the same as well. Same thing with Haflidason in the 81, as well as the 33 of Gunnarsson.
And then the 37 of Ericsson, he's got a few teammates still out there.
These are the things that happen when you get into super speedway racing. You lose out on some teammates. You have to find some new ones. As we flip through this top group, again running single file here as you would expect. We've had a couple of big incidents Well, one big incident that involved just about half of the field. Everyone else has started to siphon their way into a line. 24 at the back of this lead group. Same thing with the 140 of Solander. 38 of Christian Gantz is there as well. And then it's about 5 seconds back to the 187. Continuing to look through the field is the 22 of Carlin again with teammates surrounding him. None of them on the same lap as he is, but still doesn't hurt to have help around you. It's Marcus Stiller leading that group. It's that 101 now starting to fall towards the back. And Jason, it has been very, very calm right now again, as you would maybe have hoped for, as we're just siphoning through the field right now. But very, very calm right now.
Yeah, I think the first two wrecks have sort of placed themselves in the backs of the minds of every single driver, and they're just thinking, right, no point. Realistically, you're not really going to get anywhere with fighting this early on. As I've said before, and I'll probably say it again. So they're just sort of staying single file, though we do have a bit of double file action towards 23rd place with 4 Team Superior cars stacked up all together with Kim Newholm right behind. I'm getting a bit of deja vu.
Would appear so.
What could possibly go wrong? Checking in with the live chats on the YouTube side of things. Chris Worrell and Marcus Hagman both checking in over there. So happy to have all of you joining us on all the platforms that we are streaming on. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. Really helps share these videos around. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media, as this is only the first race of a triple header today.
Got 3 races going on today. This is the first. Second race will be the season opener for Fuel.
Hey. Hang on to her.
Where are you watching?
The 57 of Larson just got almost turned coming through 3 and 4.
Held that nicely, though.
Save of the night so far.
Try to take a look back and see what happened there with Larson as we were focusing on the lead pack. It's the 101 of Whet going to the back. It's down the back straightaway and a little bit further on. It's all 4 of those Superior cars. A great move by that team to get all 4 of their cars down. As, oh, yep, that's another big shunt from the 21. Second time tonight he's put the bumper in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, that's usually a no-no. There's two hard, fast rules on a super speedway track like Daytona or Talladega. Rule number 1, don't push in the corners. Rule number 2, don't push the pusher. So if you've got 3 cars lined up and you're trying to bump draft, if you're the 3rd car, don't hit the car in front of you.
And we're starting to see that we are getting closer to the end of the stage, because we are back double file up here at the front. As that, I believe, can't quite see the number on that
47.
car leading the outside line. 47? Or that, I think that'll be the, it's the 487.
487, yeah.
Of Daniel Bloomquist up at the front.
He's got one of the best pushers that I've ever seen right behind him in the form of Linus Broström. And if anybody can push somebody to the front, Linus can do it.
Linus Broström, the Season 1 champion for this series in that number 71. Dennis Schrepp pushing him in the 48. Getting lap traffic here is the 85. Again, one of the guys who was up towards the front at the start of this race, and this has been very sketchy all throughout the race. These guys going 3 wide, letting lappers through. As they go through, looks as though it's going to be okay. 4 wide there briefly with the car down on the apron. Coming back out onto the track. And everyone makes it through clean.
Yeah, it's starting to look a lot more sketchy in this pack now, but I guess that's what we were expecting, as the 84 has found himself to the front of the top lane. This league was last at Daytona back in season 2 of the Oval Division, and the 84, Tony Overman, was the guy who won it. So definite car to look out for here tonight, and Alex Haraldson finishing that one in second, Linus Broström rounding out their podium that time by. So all 3 of those guys here today, and all 3 of those guys going to be fighting. Never mind, Haraldson won't be. Just noticed again where he was. Sorry.
Tony Overman leading that outside line, now getting shuffled out by Bloomquist. 71 of Broström right there as well, and around they go again in the front of the pack. And that again will be another major incident, taking out a lot of cars up here at the front. It's Marcus Stromberg.
Yeah,
that was big again.
Seems maybe the 487 was just getting a little bit wobbly coming out of 4, and then the 77 was nearly going to try and push him then. And
he was right.
Only 3 wide.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you cannot just throw it 3 wide going into the corner. You kind of gotta telegraph your move, because I don't know.
That first
that was
replay,
wild.
That first replay was on board with the 71 of Linus Broström. Just a lot of issues. Apologize. But we are outside of the window for that to have been the end of the stage, so we will get a restart here before we get the stage break. As Tony had alluded to before, this is not the only race here today. It is the first of 3. After that, the Fired Up Esports League will make its return, a 7:15 start for Fuel here tonight. They will again be at Daytona, and then round 2 for the Sim Racers Edge IndyCar Series, they will be at Kentucky later tonight. That would be a 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time start for Sim Racers Edge here tonight. So first of 3 here on this Thursday, and it will be a very nice lead-in every single week.
Get the juices flowing early here on a Thursday, and keep everybody entertained. A little bit of a break, kind of like Memorial Day weekend, where you have breakfast in Monaco, lunch in Indy, and dinner at Charlotte.
Best racing day of the year by far. As we are going to be going green here, I'm sure, within the next lap or so. I'd like to thank all of the sponsors for coming on board here tonight and will be for the entirety of this season. One of the sponsors here tonight is not just sponsoring the race, but they will also be handing out a prize for the winner here tonight. It will be a triple screen stand provided by AMRT, made out of 100% Swedish steel. Visit www.amrt.se for more info on the triple screen stand that will be awarded to the winner here of tonight's race, as well as other products similar for your sim racing needs. Again, that is amrt.se. It is on the bottom left of the screen, as a matter of fact.
I may have to see if there's international shipping.
100% Swedish steel too, so you know you can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Again, it is a triple screen stand. It is not a full sim racing rig. However, you could probably slide your rig in between it.
Yeah, I think by the looks of things, it is set up to either slide it in between or have it sort of slot in. I think putting it through the middle, but yeah. Either way, a great prize, and
I got a hacksaw. We can make it
definitely
fit.
Worth checking out. Huh?
I said I got a hacksaw. We can make it fit.
Through that Swedish steel?
Yep.
I don't think so.
Well, at least it's not British steel, because that was a great heavy metal album.
That 3-monitor stand will be handed out to the winner at the end of lap 125, but we will now take a look and see who will be winning at the end of lap 50, the end of the first stage here at Daytona. Weigert tried to do the move that he's been doing this entire race. Jesper Eriksson tried to not allow it to happen, but not successful. As Linus Broström now goes to the inside. That's Robert Eriksson now leading the outside line. Now
Not
going to the
long.
bottom. Leaves Oscar Fredriksson in the 112 out in front of the outside lane.
And you got to think Fredriksson and the 37 of Eriksson, they're communicating with each other to let each other know where they are. But right now, here we go. White flag going to be in the air, this time across the stripe, as Weigert has led a ton of laps here tonight so far.
Hazard to guess.
Looking to hold on for the stage win. Yeah, exactly.
Top two positions now really uncontested as Weigert and Skoglund get out to a nice little lead. However, that could be to their demise as Jesper Eriksson starting the run, goes to the outside, brings Broström with him. So does the 33 of Gunnarsson. Goes to the top line with him. Trying to pinch up is, Weigert got really loose. Trying to side draft. Broström pushes the 37 of Jesper Eriksson to the race lead. Jonas Gunnarsson trying to make up as much ground as he can, but it will be Jesper Eriksson winning the stage.
My goodness, that was a well-timed run from Jesper Eriksson, and I believe that prize is for the winner of the league rather than the winner of the race.
Yep. Oh, okay. So there you go.
Jesper Eriksson, Linus Broström, Alex Weigert, Jonas Gunnarsson, Jonas Skoglund, Oscar Fredriksson, Robert Eriksson, Michael Hildalfsson, and Dennis Scherp, and John Hellberg rounding out your stage point gatherers here tonight in the top 10.
And Jason, you're 100% right. I did misread the copy there. It is the for the champion, not the champion of the race, the champion for the season. Gets that triple monitor stand. But right now we will now go to the break, as we were planning on doing a couple laps ago. The Hårlinjen I Timrå 500 from Daytona. Jesper Eriksson with the stage win here. 75 laps to go from Daytona. We'll be back right after this. Back live to the Daytona International Speedway for the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500 here at Daytona to open up Season 5 for the Oval Series. Now, next week we will not be running the Oval Series here with the Svenska eRacingligan. However, we will be back in the GTs. We will be at Road Atlanta, next weekend.
Yes,
next
please.
week. So I'm sure, well, all three of us are very much in favor of that race, and we hope you enjoy coming up next week. Again, that will be Road Atlanta next week in the GT3s. Round number 2 for this series, as looking at this, will be at Kansas coming up in 2 weeks' time on the 15th of September. But as we get set to go for the second and final stage here tonight, it is Marcus Stromberg in the race lead after not coming into pit during the stage. Green flag is back out.
Matter of fact, your top three all decided to come pit side during the caution just before the stage break to get track position here to start off stage number 2.
64, 40, and 57 came in during the caution just prior on lap 45. As, boy, you can really tell Johan Larsson really still dealing with a lot of damage on that number 57. Just has absolutely no forward drive in that car right now. Didn't help that he didn't have a lot of drafting help with him, but now with Niall behind him, it'll help, but it doesn't look like it's doing a world of good.
A couple more retirements to speak of as Godolakis and Bloomquist both deciding to put it on the hauler early.
So Marcus Stromberg, go ahead.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's what you have to do. As if you got too much damage, there's sort of no point. But yeah, as I think you're going to say, Marcus Stromberg out front, holding out pretty strong here to start with.
Very good. Mind reader. Bloomquist out. Lindoff is out as well to go along with Sam Hammerstedt. Out after the first incident on lap 7. Right at the start-finish line here at the open of this race. First 23 cars are up in the front pack, and then it's this group here. The 4 of Fagral. Boy, getting really close with the two Forge with the two Forge cars behind him.
Yeah, these guys are, we've said it that it's going to take them a little bit of time to get it sorted out. I think so far the top 23 at least have it sorted out. As Emily Fregrell making it a family affair right now as she jumps up to pick up another Forza Esports car on the top side. And Frank, I know Jason and I know the relationship, but do you know the relationship that Emily Fregrell has with another driver on track right now?
They have not been in my kitchen.
No.
Well, I'm not wrong.
That is, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Linus Brostrom's, I believe, fiance.
Yep, that's how I also remember that. So
there you go.
We have double the chance of being correct.
Making it a family affair tonight is Linus out on track in this race. We saw Bjorn earlier. Unfortunately, got taken out during the heat race, and Emily able to lay a qualifying lap down strong enough to put her in the starting grid of this A feature. So, a lot of relations going on, and it's always good to see a family that races together stays together
until they wreck each other.
Exactly. And then I would love to be a fly on the wall for Sunday dinner.
Johan Larsson has fallen back in line as two of the superior cars on the outside starting to work their way back forward. Now there are two more superior cars you can see there just off the left of your screen, now at the bottom of your screen, that are a little bit further ahead, the 22 and the 35. There they are. And if those 4 can get hooked up together, and those cars have found each other quite easily, Tony, all throughout this race, it could spell a little bit of trouble. As now the 38, boy, gets shuffled out.
Yikes!
Yeah, those guys did not want to pick that 38 up, and boy, they made it known.
Yeah, that was the 38 of Gans for Forza Esports. Superior and Forza, great rivalry going on. Think of it as like a Gibbs-Hendricks kind of rivalry.
Frank, I may be a mind reader, and you may be a fortune teller at this point in time, because those 4 Team Superior cars are all together, and they are working nicely.
They have done it. They have gotten together, and 13 of Daniel Solo does not really stand much of a chance at the moment. Just in front of him Alexander Wegert, who has been in the lead for a lot of this race, on the inside line. As here they come, that superior team starting to work its way back forward. And it's looking like if you want to work with this team, at least the way they've made it known, if you want to work with this team, you better catch on to the back because they're not letting you up at the front of it.
True story is, that they're starting to get it formed up, and then you've got two more teammates from another team behind them running stem to stern. And for some reason, I cannot get my camera to focus. That is the 322 of Hallberg and Hackinson. Am I seeing that right? Yes, I am. 187. 27 customs. Those two guys are your biggest movers, too, I might add.
On board with Anton Bratberg. And when we go into turn one, we're all going to shut up here for a second, which I'm sure is what you guys have been waiting for. I want you to take a listen and try it, see if you can hear a very distinct sound going through this corner. If you heard a grinding noise going through that turn, that is this car bottoming out. Oh, off the nose.
Hang on to her.
What a save by the 48 of Schrepp.
While you were saying that, it wasn't done yet, but
that's the
it's
save of the
done
night
now.
so far.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. The noise that I thought you were talking about was the lovely Volvo engine in the 33.
Oi!
That too, yes.
The 21 just
was off track
annihilated the 48. Just gave him a big shot from the chrome horn.
That'll be the third incident of that particular kind for Hugo Robb. You can see the front end of that Bass Pro Shops machine. Oh. That was miscommunication between the two. Robb was down on the bottom.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
In my honest opinion, I don't know why you would ever want to be going low at that point to try and overtake, but
here they come up on Robb, and he just tries to jink low to get out of the way. Unfortunately, the 21 was already in motion to do that.
It almost looked like he was trying to get to pit road.
You see the nose of that 21 now very successfully flattened out.
And that's usually a death knell for these cars because it's very easy to damage the radiator, and a handful of laps later, you're going to see a cloud of white smoke coming out, billowing from the diffuser at the back of that car.
And as if these cars aren't, a big enough brick, now you add a flat nose to it, it certainly doesn't help. But these cars have proven to be very, very aerodynamic as far as being able to suck up into the draft. And boy, when you start reeling that pack in front of you in, or that car in front of you in, boy, it's a very big run, Jason, that you get back up to wherever you need to go.
yeah, absolutely it is. But you will notice as soon as you get out of that draft, it's almost as if you hit a brick wall.
It's just the opposite.
Yeah, you better hope that you've got at least one other person, maybe two other people helping you, because otherwise you are going absolutely nowhere with your run. As our lead is now just passing a car coming out of pit lane.
It's one of the superior cars, Marcus Stiller.
Yeah.
The 013 was the car. Now Kenneth Tier, we see him in the 49. He was up towards the front at the beginning of this race. He is currently the first and only car that is one lap off the race lead. So once if the caution comes out again, boy, as it almost did right there with the 45 of Ehrman. Oh, no, pardon me. Ehrman's at the 42. That's Ganbat in the 45. it's that would put the 49 back in contention for this race. And we'll get that no emissions motorsports car back on the lead lap. He was running he was, I think, either first or second in the lead group when that first caution came out back on lap 7.
Yeah, he was up there. He was battling for the race lead, and just a bump draft gone wrong, and snap, see you, bye.
Just about halfway through at this point here tonight. Why that happened, I don't know. As Stromberg leading it, and you know, we saw the superior guys jump up to the outside, Jason, and start to try to work. And then everything started to get a little bit crazy, and now everyone's settling back down. We're back to single file racing as Eric Lundberg currently sits at the back of this group, and I think you can't really blame these guys for the way this has gone.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been a bit of a roller coaster as you've got everyone settled, and then people start trying something, and then something happened.
Wrecking. Speaking of something happened, they are wrecking. That's a 38 of Christian Gantz that was sideways.
I'm never going to be able to do that again.
Dennis Schrepp, I believe, may have been
He
a
had
part
help.
of it.
Yeah, he had help.
Take a look back and see what happened. We were on board with the 18 of Lundberg as that happened. Oh, no, that was earlier. That's the earlier incident.
It looked like Lundberg dove to the inside going into turn 3 and just got it wrong.
As we're looking, this is again towards the back of the group here, the main group. 13 of Solo looks to go to the front. Yeah, Lundberg was clear of Wet in the 101 and got to the inside line quicker than the 38 of Gantz did.
Oops.
Yeah, it was like both drivers going for the same bit of tarmac, but unfortunately for the 38, the 18 definitely got there first, and
it's a basic physics lesson, folks.
Yeah.
Two solid objects cannot occupy the same moment of the space-time continuum, and that's what leads to crashes. And not really surprising, we're seeing wholesale pit stops here. And
Marcus Stromberg with the Jimmy Johnson pit stall there right at the very end of pit road.
And apart from some team strategy by the looks of things, two cars who are definitely in the same team staying out and now occupying P1 and 2.
Jonas Gunnarsson wins the race off of pit road.
Fuel only for him. Ericsson, Salander, Brostrom, and Stromberg all electing to take 2. And Frank, can you explain to our guests at home what taking 2 will do in this car?
It'll put 2 new tires on it and leave 2 old ones on it. No, it will loosen the car up. It'll loosen the car up. It'll make it, with the fresher rubber on the outside of the car, it is going to help the car turn a little bit more than what you would. It's think of it as applying off thrust in an aircraft. If you give very little thrust to the left engine, you put a lot in the right, the plane is going to want to naturally turn to the left because you're giving more power to the right, pushing it around that way. It's effectively the same thing with these cars. You put fresher tires on the right, more grip, it's going to loosen the car up.
For those out there that are watching that are in agricultural things, think of it as the cutting brakes on a tractor.
That works too. As we get set to go back to green flag racing, your current race leader right now, there he is, Johan Hallberg in the Team Bushfink racing machines, out in front, leading each line. Now these two guys, Jason, are going to be hoping for a very quick caution because these two came into pit back on lap 52, a full 18 laps later, earlier than these guys behind them did, and they're not going to be out there too much longer.
No, they're not. I have a feeling that your fuel will probably run you 30 to 33?
That's what I was figuring
35
too.
laps at most.
For an 85%
So,
fuel, yeah, you're only looking about 30 to 35 at max.
Yeah, so it's... Trouble is for these guys, the way that it's gone is that you've had people tend to be more calm off of the restarts because they've just seen the wreck that's happened. So I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go for them, but I'm sure that they're going to be in communication for this start, so hopefully they'll be able to get that nailed down as we are soon to be going green here.
Yep, Tony, why don't you bring us down?
Coming off of turn number 4, pace truck getting ready to make that hard left turn below the mustard line. There it goes. Hallberg leads him into the Geico restart zone. Green flag comes out, and we're back underway. And Hallberg didn't really go. His teammate, though, definitely getting a good jump, getting a good shove from Ericsson on the top side. And it's now just two Forza Esports cars that finished 1-2 in the first stage, back up at the front of this thing and leading that outside charge.
That would have to have been, and we've seen it before. Guy on the bottom holds up the bottom line to allow the driver on the top to dive down in front of them, and that's exactly how that played out. As the 37 of Ericsson now getting pushed by Linus Brostrom on that outside line. Two superior cars behind him. So is Johan Larsson there as well. Close battling here as we inch towards the halfway point of this race. Or a little bit, we're past the halfway point. My goodness, math.
Ericsson back up in front with almost has the clear. Not quite yet. And it's Atkinson trying to make something happen on the top side, but Linus Brostrom pushing the daylights out of his Forza Esports teammate, Jasper Ericsson, as they finally get down to the low side. And look what's on the top side again, boys.
Those two superior cars. It's the 35 of Robert Ericsson, Anton Bratberg in the 111 on the outside. It was a big swing to the inside, I believe, for the 29 of Vilde Wallen.
And with only a car separating the groupings, most of the superior cars are in the outside lane right now.
Riding on board with Vilde.
All 6 of them.
And again, you hear that grinding noise, that grinding sound through the corners especially. That is this car bottoming out between clipping the fins on the diffuser and then rubbing along the flat bottom of these cars. So a lot of load gets put on these cars through the corners, Jason, leading to that grinding and bottoming out.
Yeah, absolutely. With obviously with more downforce, you're gonna get that happening more often, and with the more downforce on these next gens in comparison to what there was before, then naturally that's going to happen a little bit more. And looking up, it's once again these team superior cars just inching that top lane closer and closer. In fact, there's more and more people bailing out of that top lane, so these guys are getting closer and closer to their teammates as well.
I was going to say, Oscar Fredrickson, we just saw him bail to the inside down the back straightaway, and like a swarm of locusts, here comes that superior team on the outside line. Only 2 cars separating them, being fully together. That would be the 57 of Johan Larsson, as well as the 24 of Alexander Arildsson. Those are the only 2 cars keeping all of those superior cars from being lined up nose to tail.
One interloper towards the front, and I hate to say it, but if anything happens to the 57 of Larson, those superior cars running stem to stern like they are, they're going to work like a well-oiled machine, and it's not going to be an easy time for the rest of the field.
Top 3.
One thing that I do fear, though, if your team is all like this, what happens if there is a wreck in your area?
Blackjack, everybody lose.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a bit of a risky game. Maybe you want to have a designated survivor somewhere in the field.
Carry the flag for the team, riding on board with Atkinson. Going 3 wide, getting around the, once again, newly lapped car of the 49. See just the pack of Hornets running behind him, 3 wide, side by side, all the way through, and that 322 of Hallberg leaving a big gap on the inside line. It's about 2.5 car lengths, that gap down on the bottom, but again, the team cars all being up on the outside, they're not taking it as the caution comes out.
Oh,
that's
no.
Big. That's big.
Ooh,
Bill
yep.
Wallen involved in that one. The 77 is upside down. Wow.
Oh, that's hell, bro.
That is interesting. So, while trying to get past the 49, I believe it's the 29 and the 45 got into each other while they were nearly 3 wide, and then were just sort of stuck to each other on the outside wall. And I was, wrecking in front because of that, wrecking behind because of the checkups, and there's someone upside down.
That's the 77
of Hellbro,
of
I'm sure we'll see at some point here with this. Look again. Emily Fagrell in the number 4. It's right over the back of the 82. I had no idea, and then gets run over by Huet from behind. Let's get this from a different angle here. From up above, there's... Oof, that's a hard hit for the 77, and then it's just...
He was going 150 miles an hour when he hit the safer barrier, and that speed dropped to 30.
It's just stop motion.
For the lowest speed roll I think I've ever seen.
And the dirt side of things, for dirt oval, we call that a Tommy tip over, but still, the shot that he took before that, the last thing to go through his mind was probably his own eyeballs. There's our third, thank God this is a simulator moment of the night.
Atkinson and Hallberg do get that quick caution. They are in pit road now, along with a lot of other guys in the mid-pack. There's the 13 of Solo. Lundberg in, Gantz in. Rob had a big part in that incident. Still that front end beaten up. Havlidison in the 81 in pit road. So a mixture of damage repair and standard pit stops now currently sitting on pit road. And we've had a couple of those big incidents tonight, but from what we've seen, a lot of those guys have been able to get back up to where they are competitive and can race in the front of the field again.
Yeah, that kind of all stems back to the fact that the bodies on these next-gen cars they're not the old sheet metal bodies that we've become accustomed to with the previous generations of Cup cars and trucks and Xfinity cars. These are composite, so as long as you don't completely annihilate the suspension on the car, the body should, for the most part, spring back, and you're able to continue on. I mean, granted, the nose, not so much, as we've seen quite a few cars end up looking like a pug dog throughout the night, but these cars can take a pretty decent shot. I'm really going to be interested to see how things are going to play out when we do go to Darlington this year.
Won't have to wait too much longer, as a matter of fact, as Darlington for the Thunderclap Stock Car iRacing Series will be next week.
You are correct, as they will be cutting heads. And Frank, I don't know if you caught any of the race last night, but a good friend of ours and fellow broadcaster, Greg McConey, came home with the victory at Daytona.
Congratulations.
They're at the iRacing Super Speedway.
Congratulations to him. As a matter of fact, I think the last 2 races that we've broadcasted with him in it from that racetrack, he's won. Going back to the Circle B series.
Yep. I just couldn't get over the speeds they were hitting last night. I mean, one of the Xfinity cars, the tier down from this car on track right now, was still doing 200. We clocked one of them at 252 miles an hour last night.
It's incredible.
I mean, that's IndyCar speeds.
Yep. Really quick at the weather conditions again as the race has evolved past the 9:00 p.m. hour in sim time. Track and ambient temperature have really not changed all that much. Still 18 and 19 degrees. With a 5K wind. Still due north as we will restart here with Jesper Eriksson and Linus Broström running 1 and 2. Eriksson and Bratberg making up row number 2 here for this restart. Green flag back in the air, working lap 83 of 125 at Daytona.
And looks like once again those 2 superior cars looking to get hooked up, as it's 2 Forza Esports cars leading this piece right now in the form of Eriksson and Broström as they bring it through 1 and 2. A couple on the top side trying to make something happen. That's Jonas Gunnarsson in the 33 trying to lead the outside charge in that Volvo.
And this is running fairly similarly to every restart we've seen. I mean, some guys go low, and then we've got a top lane contingent. They look to be bringing it back a little bit with Jonas Gunnarsson on the top now. Now only 2 cars clear of him. Now only 1 car clear of him. In fact, they're doing well up there.
Gunnarsson really starting to bring that outside line back up towards the front, and is doing so very successfully at the moment. 140 behind him. Marcus Stromberg again up towards the front after being a big contender in that first stage, towards the end of that first stage at least. As the pack is, it's doing Daytona things, but it's doing them calmly.
Yeah, it's a 20 car pack right now. There's about 4.5 seconds of separation back to the very wounded 29 of Vilda Wellen, as Hugo what the hell? I cannot read it. The 21 did take it pit side again.
It's Hugo Robb in the 21.
Which is, Hugo Robb showing up on at least my timing as Hugo Åkesson as well.
Yeah, same here.
That's not what I had in. It's not what I had in the thing. that I was given.
So,
But anyway,
maybe you have the the sheet loaded. We probably don't.
I think that's it.
So there you go.
Jesper Eriksson still out in front, working nice and solidly on that inside line. Still a nice little pack up here at the front of 20. Then it is Vito Wallen with a bunch of lap cars behind him, so at least he does not have to worry. As far as positions are concerned,
Well,
I'm actually.
her, in fact.
Oh, her, pardon me.
What?
Was I was wrong, wasn't I?
Yeah, but it's
Okay, that's okay.
This,
So
this is
I
what we're here for.
apologize.
We can make mistakes.
Apologize for that.
It's no issue. We are not used to Swedish names.
Yeah, exactly.
Over here in monolingual land. And
I was going to
monolingual
say
land
that.
too.
I was going to say that's an all-female team with the 4 and the 29.
As Jason alluded to, we are Tony and I at least are very not Swedish. Do have some Swedish ancestry, but that's negligible as compared to everything else.
To tell a family secret, my grandmother was Dutch.
There you go. And then
My mother is.
And Jason in the UK. We do appreciate everyone again who is in the YouTube chat with us on Sim Racing Media, as well as over in the Twitch chat for the series, and that's why I was making the point of 2 Americans, 1 Brit. Can't necessarily read and comprehend what you're writing in the chat there over on Twitch, but we certainly do appreciate the interaction. It makes these races a lot more fun.
It does. It absolutely does. And going back and looking at the live chat on the Twitch side of things and putting it through Google Translate, we can see just how badly you folks are roasting us over there. Thank you so much for putting an entertaining morning to my Fridays.
If only it were Friday.
No, I read it the following day.
Oh, okay, I see.
I think we were both lost there, Frank, but
And
someone who certainly isn't lost at the front is Jesper Eriksson.
Oh, absolutely not. Like I said, I think that was a part of the fun of the series bringing us on, was to hear 2 Americans and a Brit try to pronounce Swedish words. I'm sure they're getting a bubble out of it.
Well, I mean, some of the names in the field, Jason and I are already familiar with the ISNF Cup Series that we broadcast every Sunday. But there are a lot of names that we are very unfamiliar with that I know personally I struggle with them, and I do apologize if I butcher anybody's name.
Well, which we definitely are doing.
But of course.
It's getting up to lap cars again here.
This has been a reason for some of the wrecks in the past, and it might be a reason for one now.
Yep, it's looking like it might be. Watch out! Larson coming back on the racetrack somehow keeps it straight.
That was close.
How in the name did he do that?
Oh, we generally refer to that as a Code Brown moment.
New overalls, please.
Absolutely. As now I think that'll single file this front pack out here as we're working with just over 30 to go here at Daytona. And while we do that, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're watching the opening round of the season, the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500 here from Daytona.
Oh, no, we're not.
No, we're not. Caution's coming out. It's the 38 of Gantz through the infield. Keeps it straight.
And the 18 is going to get popped for an unsafe pit entry.
Because iRacing. Take a look and see how that happened before we go to break. Gantz, tried to jump back in line and just doored the 18. Was not clear.
All right, bud.
Yep. That's about it. Take a look at it one more time from the fan cam.
As we get another Code Brown moment. And if you need your dark fire suit cleaned in the greater Daytona Beach area, you can check out Chucky's Seaside Cleaners right there in Ormond Beach.
It's called a free plug. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that break now. We'll be right back here on SRM. Well, and you just saw the reason for the caution. Outside line gets a little bit squirrely, and then everything else beyond that falls apart as we welcome you back here to the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500 here at Daytona.
Oh, my goodness.
So we'll take a look and see the incident there. We saw, I believe it was the 187 of Hackinson start to lose it. Boy, Gunnarsson had nowhere to go.
Actually, I think it was the 322 of Hallberg that first got a little squirrely.
Whoever was at the front of that group was the one who really had the issues. On board with the 22, it just did not judge the closing rate correctly.
Jammed on the binders a little too aggressively, and wow.
Wet gets caught up in this in the 101. Trying to slide his way through as he actually does make it through. At least we thought he did. 13 comes down in front of him. From high above.
The good news is everybody that's bringing it pit side right now, you can make it from here.
Ka-ching. It is the money stop.
It appears still a lot of them have made that stop.
Yeah, I think it's only people who wanted to get a lap back have not yet come in.
Last time a lot of these guys were down pit road was under that last caution. It's back on lap 80, or back on lap 70, I believe, is when we restarted.
79.
A good 20-lap run. So you see Johan Hallberg.
We've had good runs.
Absolutely.
So this has been a great race so far. I think it's been for the most part clean. Only, well, unfortunately small mistakes make something bigger here, but it always does.
Yeah, but small mistakes at 190 miles an hour is
yeah,
things go horribly wrong very quickly.
Yeah, you are right. But it's only ever been these small mistakes that have been causing things, and we haven't seen all too many, to be fair.
You're right.
It's just been.
I mean,
this
is a lot better than Jason. You think back to the last time you and I were here at Daytona. This has already gone better than the last 2 times we've been at Daytona in the Cup car.
Yeah, I agree. So really a great showing in the first race for this league to show us and show everyone else exactly what they can do around somewhere where, if you're really not careful, you can end up making it eye-pacing quite quickly.
Absolutely, and with that, showing you what they can do, not just for us, but for this season as well. As the winner of the championship for this series will be getting a triple screen stand provided by one of the series sponsors, AMRT. The stand is made out of 100% Swedish steel. Visit www.amrt.se for more information on not only the stand, but a lot of other computer and sim racing needs that you may have.
I got to use those $5 words, Frank. They're peripherals.
I've only got about 20 cents. Thank you.
Okay.
So
fair
again,
enough.
Triple screen stand again provided to the winner of the championship here this season, provided by AMRT. As we are about ready to go back to green flag racing, 25 laps to go here at Daytona.
Hallberg getting a good getaway as Hackinson
as Hackinson forcing Tony to hack up a lung.
Sorry about that.
Safliedison looking towards the inside. Jesper Eriksson starting to push as well. A couple of the superior cars down there on the bottom line, as well as the 18 of Eric Lundberg. That yellow and purple and black machine there on the bottom line as well.
They are at that and trying to make some headway, but you know, that's a pretty decent getaway. As we're looking at a 14-car getaway right now. Dan Solo back in 15th, kind of struggling a little bit as they're starting to hemorrhage time. As unfortunately, he doesn't have anybody right behind him to help him draft.
Not a lot going on there as far as help for him, as Hackinson getting a lot of push from Brostrom. That 112 of Oscar Fredriksson there as well, and boy, door-to-door contact on the inside, Jason. It's starting to get there. We're 22 laps to go when we hit the line. We're getting pushy now.
Yeah, you as soon as they get close to each other, you may hear me just make a noise. As it's getting pretty tight now as we head very, very quickly towards the end of this race. Now inside the final 25, as that outside lane with Hawkinson at the point of it is working pretty well against that inside, and I wonder if Hawkinson's going to dip early to join his teammate here as soon as he can.
It looks like he was thinking about it, just didn't have the clear there going through 3 and 4. As Brostrom trying to push him up there. Wow!
Big move to the inside there towards the middle of the field, as we are still side by side up here at the front of this field. 2 of the Team Bushfink Racing machines leading each line. Jesper Eriksson causing quite a kerfuffle there on the high side as he jumps in front of his teammate in the 112.
Finally gets down, as now you've got those 3-4s esports cars on the top shelf trying to send it. So, you know, we were talking about it earlier. We could see a 1-2-3 finish out of a couple of these teams.
Again, as we'd spoken about before with Superior.
Right.
Oh,
There
around
goes.
goes the 81. Speaking of Superior. That was Haflidason getting clipped by the 35 of Eriksson. And with 21 laps to go, we are under caution again here at Daytona.
The 322 kind of stacked that up, and the 81 and the 81 checked up. The 35 unfortunately couldn't see what was going on in front of the 81, and we're back under caution.
Yeah, and that was a great segue, Frank. I'm not sure it's the way I would have wanted to hear one. It's perfect description there from Tony about exactly what happened, and unfortunately, as is with pack racing, you've got everything happens after that. I think I saw someone disappear.
On board with Haflidason.
Hugo Robb is Dairy Queen Award by the looks of things.
Yes. Yep, he is unfortunately been the recipient of a disqualification. And I know Marcus Hagman's in the live chat right now on the YouTube side of things. Marcus, you guys have Dairy Queen over there?
I can guarantee you that's a no.
As I was mentioning before that caution came out, we had mentioned the 4 superior teams earlier on. Superior Fun, Stray Dogs, Top Dogs, and Underdogs. there are as well 4 Force Esports teams. Force Esports, Academy, Management, and Prospects that have taken the grid here tonight. 3 Bright Esports teams. Bright Esports, Overpower, and Pick Last. Right now it is 4s 1, 2, and 3 on track right now. 71, 37, 1, 12. As we dip inside of 20 laps to go. And I think right now would be a pretty good good time to remind everyone that the yellow line rule is in effect here tonight. So you cannot advance your position below the yellow line at any point until coming off of turn 4 on the final lap. And then the yellow line rule goes away. And with how wild this race has been thus far, it's been a controlled wild, but still wild. That could definitely play a big factor in the finish of this race.
It very much could. And, you know, we've seen wild finishes before at plate tracks, but if you kind of hem somebody up all race long and they know that you're fair game to go down onto the apron on the final lap coming out of the final corner, it's going to get wild. And I dare say we're probably going to see some cars getting airborne.
Yeah, I think you're going to be right. It's going to be very, very wild at the end. And honestly, we will be happy that we're in a simulator. I think, as
True story.
these guys will probably be racing hard back to the line when it comes to it. And looking at the time once again, I'm going to throw this out here. We've got, what, 23 to go? No.
Roughly.
18?
17 to go.
17. 17 to go. On the timer that I see is 23 minutes left, so probably, what,
That's
25?
close. Yeah, another caution or two would not be a...
Yeah.
We might go to a time limit here.
Yeah, I believe we've got just about closing on 23 minutes left in the race. So we may actually be see time be a factor, as it is quite an aggressive time limit, to be honest. But we see they don't want their race to run over too long.
Now, we have seen races in the history of this channel go to a time limit. It's very rare that we do see an oval race go to a time limit finish. The only one I can remember, I think, was the Western States Racing League at Texas, the very first season that we had them. Went to a time limit.
We've had a couple in one of the Sunday leagues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's
Daytona,
as far as
Charlotte, and Richmond come to mind.
As far as I can remember, at least. That was the only one I was a part of. As we now get set to go racing here. Linus Broström out to an early jump here as we go from laps to... no, I guess there we go. From laps to time, we have 22 minutes left to get this race in the books.
One more caution, we will be going to time.
They green, and it's definitely possible.
Oh, yeah. And it's those 3 Forza Esports cars at the front of this piece, running stem to stern as they haul it off into turn number 3. They've got another Forza Esports. No, they don't. I'm sorry, I was looking wrong. And that is Marcus Stromberg on the top side, working with the 18 of Lundberg. You got one bailing out to go down pit road. That looks like the 81 of Hellefson.
It's the Bright Esports by Overpower, number 64 of Stromberg. Just behind him, Eric Lundberg, part of the StreetTrends.se team, has really, he's had a couple of issues here tonight, but has somehow found his way, one, to stay away from damage, and two, to be able to stay up at the front, Jason. Quite a long and impressive night for that 18.
Yeah, absolutely, and fair enough. Honestly, it's quite a feat, because I do remember seeing him prominently in one of the cautions, and still seeing him up here is impressive. Though, could it be anything to do with that backwards number on the roof?
I don't know.
Maybe that's helping out in some sort of voodoo way as we move now past the 20 minutes to go mark, and yeah, definitely stay green, and we can get the whole 125 in.
Working lap 111 of 125 here tonight. Brostrom, Eriksson, Fredrickson, your top three. Velda Wallen up there as well, just riding right behind the associated team, I should say, as both her and Emily Fergrell driving for that team. Fergrell, unfortunately, had a rough one. She's kind of mired back in the pack right now. But, yeah, we've got a good, strong breakaway at the front of this field, boys.
Top of the field separated. The first 14 drivers are up at the front, some of them with damage, some of them clean. So these guys have not pushed the loud button just yet. It's getting close to that time, as that 137 of Eriksson really pushing the back of the 71 of Brostrom. Outside line still looking to make some moves. Marcus Stromberg up at the front of the outside line. Top two have broken away, and we saw how that fared, Jason, at the end of the stage. Top two broke away, ended up getting passed by the backstretch.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely not as big of a gap this time around, and with a teammate behind, I'm sure they won't try and take advantage. If they could, I mean, that top lane definitely stopping that and actually making a massive gain here on the tri-oval section to go basically 2 cars back to actually now the 64 is technically leading this piece.
Bottom line really got separated, which has allowed that top lane to really start making a move. It's the 64. Well, that 64 getting pushed all over the place. He got pushed out of the top lane by Lundberg, it looked like, and then almost got pushed out of the race by the 71.
Well, I mean, that was one of those deals where the 64 I think, misjudged where Brostrom was, as those 3-4 esports cars were starting to push on each other coming down the backstretch. So now Brostrom trying to figure out what he's got to do to get back by Stromberg.
Did seem like a little bit of an indecisive move there from the 64, did it not?
A little bit.
Riding on board with the 29, down on the nose, right in the dead center of the car, right on the splitter. Hear that grinding away as the flat bottom of this car bottoms out. A big run upcoming from the 18, but he cuts it off to stay behind the 29.
Move for the lead.
Yep, there goes the 64. Left alone on the bottom line.
Oh, he's getting freight trained.
Yep, Linus Brostrom leads the entire field, and around goes the 64 of Stromberg. Keeps it straight, keeps it out of the inside wall. The 187 thought he was clear, tried to follow his teammate in the 322 down to the bottom, was not clear.
You know, I dare say that's something these guys are going to have to get used to, because I don't know how many of the people out there that do road racing, do you actually have your spotter on during the road races?
Yeah,
I do, yes.
normally.
Okay. Because I know a lot of guys don't. And that looked like that was the situation there where...
Oh, caution's out.
Uh-oh.
Towards the back of the field.
In the 42.
Antoine Herman in the 42, and now that puts us in a very peculiar situation as far as the time limit is concerned. Unfortunately, we cannot display the time limit under caution.
Oh my!
As he comes through.
Were they taking back a lap car?
Were they what?
I think they were. I think it's again another thing with coming by a lap car.
No, they just tried to go by the 49.
Or the 19.
And
yeah, you're
19.
19 on the outside, 3 wide.
Yeah, got tagged by the 57 and then directly into the 42.
And with as much damage as on the 42 right now, that's race over for him.
Yeah, that's not... Boy, that's not how you want the front end to look.
Same goes for the 19.
Well, look at the 42 trying to get into his pit box.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're just looking at that.
Very good utilization of the pit wall.
So we are getting close to the end of this race by one way or the other. 7 laps to go when we cross the line. However, the time limit is going to be very interesting.
13 minutes to get 7 laps out of the way. And we're not 1 to green yet.
And I would anticipate that's a joke there by Marcus. Anton racing with a helicopter RC controller in that 42. I mean, if it works and you can control it, good for you. It's not a joke. Okay, well, if it works.
I'll tell you what, Marcus. You send me your backup wheel and I'll start racing again.
Marcus Hagman's been very active on the YouTube side of the chat.
I mean, I know someone who decided to try and race in F1 2021 with a Guitar Hero controller, so everything is possible. We were running 107% rule in the league, and he managed to get within it, so he was allowed to race.
Well, I remember when the pandemic first hit that they were having esport or e-racing on some of the broadcast networks on television, and what the hell's the guy's name? He used to drive the player special in the Indy cars. Paul Tracy used an Xbox controller.
Get done what you got to get done. That's what I remember for an old Paskey's race. I had just broken my wheel. I had it set up on my desk, and I needed to get up to the other side of the room, so I went to step over the wire, and I didn't make it, and the nail on my pinky toe sliced the wire from my wheel to my pedals in half.
You need to clip your toenails a little more often, buddy.
And they weren't that long either. Like, I had just caught it. And I had tripped over it as well, so it's not like it was like a razor blade slice. But I ended up running that Paskey's race, like the first 3 laps of that Paskey's race with a PlayStation controller. pulled it off and stopped. I wanted to at least start the race.
Fair enough.
We are getting set to go back to green flag racing. We will have 5 laps to go here from Daytona.
I don't think we're going to get all 5 in.
I mean, we've got 10 minutes to do it in. That's plenty of time. It's not a.
It's about another.
It's not a 2-minute lap under full racing speed. So
it's about another 45 seconds here on this lap, and then it's 45 seconds effectively per lap, 46 seconds per lap in the draft. Another caution will definitely end the race.
Right. So once the green flag flies, next flag ends the race, whether it's a caution or the white flag.
Pretty much at this point. So 5 more laps to go, 10 miles left here in the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500 at Daytona to open up this season. Again, the series will be back next week in the GT cars at Road Atlanta. Certainly excited for that, but first we have to get through the final 10 minutes of this race. Green flag back in the air here at Daytona.
And if you're going to make something happen, now is the time to do it, because you're running out of time in this race. As those 3-4's esports car is going to slot in 1, 2, and 3. Here comes the top shelf. That's Hallberg on the top side.
Gunnarsson really fell to the back on that restart. He's finally been picked up on the inside line, but not a good start for that 33. As we had mentioned, Kenneth Tier in that 49. He is back on the lead lap and back up here in the draft. Second car in line on the outside line has Haflidason behind him in the 81. Boy, everyone getting shuffled out now. 4 to go.
4 to go, and that could have ended all sorts of poorly, as right now, Broström, Eriksson, Fredriksson, Wallen, Skoglund, your top 5, as that top lane starting to deteriorate.
49 getting shoved out by Haflidason in the 81. Now move up. Alexander Wurgit in the 30. Or Wiegert, pardon me. There we go. Eric Lundberg pushing that 30 up towards the front.
Wiegert was your pole sitter, and this is kind of what we expected to see in the closing laps, Jason. Broström has a ton of oval experience. Wiegert, who has a ton of oval experience. As we got one into the wall in the back, where
under caution.
Race over.
Unless
Not
they
necessarily.
unless they throw a quick yellow. That was Robert Erling in the back.
They're not going to be able to get it done because we're on lap 123. Pace truck's going to pick up the field on 124, and
yeah, that'll only take about 5 minutes. We've got 7.
There's Erling in the back with the 64.
Never say never.
Of Stromberg, and then in comes the second group just piling in. It all looked to be about done, and then the second group came in. It was just the 2 at the back of the front group, the 82 and the 64, and then here comes the second group flying in. Boy,
we are going into overtime.
It's a hard hit. That the 70 gave the 82.
We are going into overtime, and I don't think we're going to get the time to get all 3 attempts in, but we're going to get at least one green-white checkered attempt.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's good to know that we have 3 for future reference, but not that we're going to see them this time round. And Pause Esports here up at the front, looking very, very, very solid.
Now, unfortunately, SDK does not allow us to show the time. Or actually, yeah, no, it does not allow us to show the time on the ticker there up at the top of the screen during the caution. So unfortunately, we do not have a time counter for you, but we do know we
6
are
minutes left.
6 minutes. So yeah, this is the final restart here. Unless they advance a quickie yellow here. Lights are still on the pace truck, so we will get at least one more lap after this behind the pace car, which will leave us about 2 minutes of racing to go. Which is quite apropos, since it'll take about 2 minutes to get 2 laps done around here. One of the superior cars getting their lap back. Would have been the 013 of Marcus Stiller. Part of the superior underdogs team. Stiller right now he's running in 19th position right now with the possibility of getting as high as 17th. Marcus Stromberg still on pit road repairing damage from the last incident, and Christian Gantz in the 38 is on the same lap. Actually, I think he might be done tonight as the 38, so
He is.
Yep, so Stiller has just gained that 18th position. There's a possibility for one more, and that's about it. So Linus Broström, Jesper Eriksson, who won the stage, Alexander Weigert, Oscar Fredriksson, Eric Lundberg, Vilda Wallen, Johan Hallberg, Jonas Skoglund, Andreas Hackinson, and Jonas Gunnarsson. The top 10 here for what will be the final 2 laps of the Hårlinjen I Timrå 500. And guys, what a day of racing it has been here already. And we still have 2 more of these to do.
No, you do. I'm going to bed.
Well, I got 1 more. As a network, we have 2 more to do. Fuel begins tonight right here at Daytona in the trucks. And then round number 2 for Sim Racer's Edge at Kentucky. Fuel will start at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And Sim Racer's Edge will begin at 8:10. A lot of great racing still to come. 154 more races between now and I believe it's the beginning of June of next season. That's a lot of racing.
Absolutely. And we've got a request, gentlemen. Marcus asking if we can call Daniel Trollo just once.
Well, there you go. There it was. There was the once.
With friends like Marcus, you don't need a proctologist.
Talking about the 13 on the inside row. We're getting set to go back to racing. 2 minutes to go. 2 laps to go. Green flag back out in the air at Daytona.
Linus Broström wasting absolutely 0 time jumping up to pick up his 2 Force Esports teammates in Eriksson and Fredriksson as they hang Alex Weigert out to dry on the low side. All 3 of them do have the clear right now. And they've got the help of Vilda Wallen. Down the super stretch they come. They've got to make it back to the start-finish line for the leader to accept the white flag for us to race back to checkers. Right now, Broström shows the way. At second lane, getting a little sketchy on the top side. 3 wide, never a good idea.
Close, that's Haflidason.
Coming to the stripe. We are racing back to checkers.
Up at the front, Linus Broström. by himself. A 13 of Solo stuck in the middle. Contact, there goes Solo around behind Wrecking. But up at the front, we are still clear and green. Brostrom down the back straightaway.
He's got some friendly company with him there on the low side in Ericsson and Fredrickson. Gunnarsson trying to make something happen on the top side in the 33.
Big jump out by Gunnarsson to that high line. Here comes the 30 of Wager trying to give him the push. A little bit of an awkward push there from Ericsson. Ericsson jumps to the top. Brostrom trying to keep it on the bottom. Coming to the line. 4 wide at the line. It's going to be Brostrom with the win.
What?
Holy cow!
4 wide finish.
4 wide for the finish, and 3 of them were separated by nothing.
Holy cow.
0.001, 0.004, then
0.009.
0.009.
Yeah.
All 4 coming across the line within 100th of a second of each other.
Well,
and it's the 71 who appeared to be out of it going into the tri-oval is the one who takes the win.
Well, I mean, we mentioned it earlier that we were going to see 4 wide racing going to the line, and these guys did not disappoint. And I told you somebody was going to get airborne, and somebody did coming to the line.
Take a look at that one more time here. What a run to the finish. Not just at the death of the race, but at the death of the time clock as well. What a run. And boy, it looked like Ericsson had made his move coming down the back. Oh, this is coming to the white, pardon me. It appeared as though he had made his move. There's the little...
Tony's managed to click somewhere, so I'm sure we'll have him back in...
There's the bump that got the 71 out of sorts. The 30 with a big run, and my goodness, what a finish here at Daytona. Unreal.
If that finish line were to have been any further away than it was, then I'm pretty sure Alex Wegger would have taken that, but he didn't, because the finish line is exactly where it's supposed to be, and oh boyliness, what a race.
Man, oh my god, what a finish. Like, I thought we were done there. Like, when he hit me in the corner, coming off the corner, I thought we were done. Got on the apron, then I went up and tried to, do whatever I could. And I just saw the finish line. I had no idea what happened. And then I saw cars coming, and then Oscar came behind me and gave me a heck of a push. And I think that push from Oscar is what got me across the line first. But all I saw in the mirror was smoke. And then I looked at the standings, and somehow I ended up at the top. So... stage win for Jesper, second place for me, and then race win to start off the season. Man, these next 12 races are going to be a lot different for me right now. That's all I can say. What an amazing start to the season, though.
Yeah, honestly, I'm still completely speechless from that finish. So someone might have to take this interview off me.
Lena, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
Lena, I mean, you were up front most of the night, started on the outside of the front row. On your Forza Esports team, how many of those guys have a ton of oval experience?
There is a few of us who has Oscar and Jesper. Jesper is pretty new, but he's done some races. Oscar is pretty new to it. Sam, who got knocked out early, is pretty new as well, but more than half the team has quite a bit of experience, but unfortunately, we got taken out. But Jesper, he's gotten into oval racing quite a bit recently, and he did a heck of a job pushing me there at the end, which is why we tried to line up like we did as well, because Oscar is a bit newer, so he just tried to keep up. And then obviously we were working with a 29 as well, with Vilda Wallin, who's a teammate with my fiance, so she's got quite a bit of experience as well. Unfortunately, it kind of fell apart there right at the end, but you know, it's Daytona. We had one car first across the line. I'm just happy I was the one. So yeah, it's great to see that. Like we're quite a big team, which isn't always good, but today I think overall the team had a pretty good running.
You guys
Despite having quite
absolutely
a few
did.
cars taken out.
You guys absolutely did have a great showing here in the series season opener. You know, the one thing that kind of had me a little confused is, and I know it's probably due to a lot of guys having more road experience than oval, we didn't see a ton of bump drafting, which is a little abnormal for these plate tracks.
Yeah, I think at least after that early big crash that we had, I think a lot of people were just cruising. And when I was in second, even behind Jesper, I didn't push much at all until there was a run building somewhere further back in the pack. Then I'd push him for half a lap, and then I'd stop again just because there was like no point. We just take it easy and wait and ride it out to make sure we get to the end and not wreck each other, you know, because it's so easy to do if you try to push. But once I got down to it, Jesper just locked onto my bumper and drove me to the finish, basically. But there is quite a few new people to the series. Some people aren't that experienced, but still, I mean, not a lot of cars finished without damage, unfortunately. But I still think it was a pretty good race in the end. But I mean, we're Swedes, so we come from road racing.
I don't think we could have asked for a better finish as you guys went 4 wide across the stripe. But Linus, congratulations on coming home with the victory. Who do you need to thank before we turn you loose?
Well, first of all, of course, Force Esports and our partners, Förarna and Kappa, and then obviously all the league sponsors. Hårlinjen I Timrå. I don't know if you managed to pronounce that correctly.
Not even close.
No, and then obviously Förarna again, AMRT, Aria 81, and VGP.se, and everyone showing up, and you guys for putting on this show for us to let us watch it back. And actually, if I remember correctly, this is the second time in less than a week that I win Daytona with 1/1000th of a second on Sim Racing Media. So
Come to think of it, it is. Because you did the
is.
same thing on Sunday.
Yeah. I win the same guy in second, right?
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
figure.
Go
All right,
figure.
Linus, go celebrate with your Forza Esports team, and we will see you next week at Road Atlanta in the GT3s.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
So that was your race winner. We will now go to Jesper Eriksson, our second place finisher here tonight.
No,
possibly.
Negative. We
I
will
guess
go
we
to
won't.
Alex Weggett, our second
All right,
place
so-
finisher. I know it was close, but
Hello.
Alex. Hello. You did get second place.
Yeah.
So sorry for scaring you a little bit there.
No, I was kind of sure
yeah.
it was, but it was close, really close.
Yeah. So close to the fact that I reckon if the line was 5 meters further along, you probably would have got it. So
Yeah,
what
but
are you feeling
I'm
right now.
Oh, I was really close to not driving tonight. That what I can tell you, because I didn't feel well, and but I was like, okay, never mind. I'm just gonna qualify and see what happens. I got pole, and I was yeah, exactly. I was I mean, I'm quite okay when it comes to when you need to set a good lap in NASCAR. I'm quite okay with it, but I was still surprised because I know there's really good people that are fast qualifiers in at Daytona, but I was so happy with that, and then I just hold for the first position for like 49 laps or something, and I was really happy for that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, overall I think you've run a great race, and the finish was brilliant as well. We did see you in the mid part of the race, just sort of lingering in the pack a bit. Was that part of the strategy and then
Yes.
moving back up?
Yeah, 100%. If I'm not around top 10, I don't even bother, because I'm still, instead of racing the race, I'm racing the field. I'm reading the field instead. So I'm trying to read it from P20, top 15, top 20, around there, just to read if something happens, so I can just avoid a wreck, because I just had 1X tonight and it was cutting the grass. So yeah.
Yeah, well, absolutely brilliant stuff then. And before we let you go celebrate, is there anyone you need to thank?
Yes, I want to thank Bright Esports, and I also want to thank Overpower and Boxbollen, Picked Last, and of course Logitech, my main sponsor. I fucking love you guys, and thanks for everything so far these 2 years, and also Astro Gaming. And I will also want to thank Jonas Fors for always like pepping me, and yeah.
Well, now that we've also got the correct pronunciation of his name, we can move on happy, and you can move on happy with your second place finish. Congratulations!
Thank you so much, and enjoy, guys.
All right, and that will leave Tony with our third place finisher, Jesper Eriksson. It has Eriksson third and Wegert fourth, Wegert third on mine. So anyway, third place finisher, Tony, take it away.
Jesper, great finish. You got the biggest mover of the night award after starting back in 29th position, coming home on the podium. I don't think you can be too disappointed, especially when you pushed your teammate to the win.
No. I am so proud right now. I am so proud for the team, for everyone. This race was just amazing. Finding out I was in the top 20 in the qualifying, I started to panic, knowing that every race I have started in the under 20th, I have wrecked on the first lap.
Well, you just broke that curse. So, a great run tonight. What did you learn throughout the night, being as you don't really have a ton of oval experience?
Well, every race I do in oval, I just learn more and more and more. Today I learned that super speedways might be something for me again, because I have not been the best. I have learned to push, and I have learned to just be in the lead in the super speedway. So I've learned a ton today.
All right. Well, Jesper, again, congratulations on the podium in the season opener. Moving forward, we're back in the GT3 cars next week at Road Atlanta. What are your thoughts going into the home of the Petit Le Mans?
It's gonna be awesome. That car and that track it's gonna be epic. I have quite a few laps there doing the Petit Le Mans, so I'm quite sure of it. And I know my team did an amazing job last week, so high hopes.
All right, Jesper, we're going to let you go celebrate with your team. Who do you need to thank before we let you go?
First of all, the whole team, absolutely an amazing performance by literally everyone. The sponsors, I am lost for words at the moment, but everyone that's helped, Jonas, the team owner, Linus for being such an awesome teammate, Oscar, just everyone in the whole team did an amazing job today.
All right. Jesper, again, congratulations on the podium. We'll see you next week at Road Atlanta.
We sure will.
All right, so that will round out the interviews here for today. And guys, I don't think we could have asked for a better finish to the first race. Again, the top four finishing within 1/100th of a second of each other. Just, Tony, we'll start with you. Just what a night.
Absolutely. I don't think we could have asked for a better showcase to show the talent level that's in this field tonight, as we saw side-by-side racing most of the night. Mid-race, everybody kind of settled in for a little bit, got some laps under their belt, and when it came down to crunch time, that whole yellow line being out of bounds no more really came into effect as we came to the finish.
Absolutely. As Dirty Swede in the Twitch chat, I translated what he had put after that race, Jason. Tonight's race, again, being sponsored by Hårlinjen I Timrå, the comment was, the right sponsor when you win by a hair.
Nice.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. That Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go with what I thought of the race. Honestly, any race where your top 6 is covered by not even a tenth, and your top 9 is within 3/10 of each other, yeah, sign me up. It's been great watching it. It was a brilliant finish, and some good racing in between start and finish as well. So, absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do in the next oval race at Kansas, and especially for Road Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. Those will be a couple of fun races. Again, Road Atlanta coming up next week. That will be the next next GT3 race. Pardon me. I believe round 2 of 8 for the GT3 season, and then it will be Kansas Speedway in 2 weeks' time. The next time we are in the NASCAR stock cars. But right now we will go to the finishing results here for tonight. And boy, what a night it was. Linus Broström taking home the win. Alexander Weigert coming home in second by just 1/1000th of a second. Jesper Eriksson coming home in third, just again less than half a hundredth. And then Jonas Gunnarsson on the outside line coming home 9/1000ths of a second off of the top spot. Oscar Fredriksson rounding out the top 5. Jonas Skoglund, Kenneth Tier, Vilda Whalen, Johan Hallberg, and Robert Eriksson rounding out the top 10. Eric Lundberg, Kim Nile, Andreas Hackinson, Daniel Solo, and Michael Heflidesen rounding out the top half of the field, Jason.
Yeah, well, then Philip Carlin and Marcus Stiller 16th and 17th. Marcus Stromberg finishing 18th, 6 laps down after leading a good portion of the race. Johan Larsson also finishing down here in 19th, with 20th place going to Christian Gantz. Tony Overnan in 20th position. 21st. Yeah. My SDK and iRacing is different. Andre Salander in 22nd. Stefan Wong in 23rd. Alex Araldson 24th. Anton Bradberg in 25th. Robert Ehrling in 26th. Patrick Pfeffer 27th. Alan Figueroa 28th. And Anton Oman in 29th, with Hugo Robb sitting in 30th place after being given a disqualification.
Pontius Nielsen coming home in 31st. 32nd going to Christer Schornbach. Dennis Scherp in 33rd. 34th goes to Hakan Scott. Peter Hembro in 35th. Bat Andre Ganbat in 36th. 37th going to Daniel Bloomquist. Heinrich Lindhoff in 38th. 39th going to Dan Homer. And rounding out the scheduled starters for this race and putting it on the hauler after only 5 laps, Sam Hammerstadt finishing in 40th here in the feature.
Well, we'll also do that. We'll also take a look at the finishing results here for the heat race that happened earlier on tonight. Andre Salander taking the victory there. That is the top 18. The top 20 were the ones that made it through. Jonas Forss, Simon Green, Christopher Gyrios, Martin Godolakis, Gustav Janssen, Ricard Allard, I would guess, Bjorn Broström, and Robert Lundgren. Haflidi Johansson and Christopher Crook all did try to qualify for this race and did not make it. So with that will do it for us here this evening. Join us later tonight for the first race of the season for the Fired Up Esports League. Fuel will be here with the Great American 250 here in the trucks at Daytona. Then after that, that will be 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time start. That'll be a 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time start, an 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time start for the Sim Racers Edge Series. After that, tomorrow on Friday will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series, round number 2 in these Cup cars at Talladega. And then on this weekend, it'll be an ISNF doubleheader as the ISNF Cup Series will hold their All-Star race at Chicagoland this Saturday at 4:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the very next night, Sunday, will be round number 7 from Darlington. That will also be a 4:50 p.m. Eastern Time start. Also coming up on Saturday, an 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time premiere for the Super Late Model AI Series Season 1 finale. That will be at Five Flags coming up this Saturday night. And then to start the new week will be the CleanRacing.net Truck Series Season 12 finale at Darlington Raceway. So that will certainly be a fun time. So for my broadcast partners, Tony Trapasso and Jason Sawford, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day, and we will see you all next week in the GT3s at Road Atlanta. Good night, everybody.